everybody. Welcome back. This is episode 9, season 3, Marriage Talks, and we are so delighted to have everybody back with us. The last 2 episodes were so amazing about parenting, and I think today we are in for another great topic. Trust me, it's going to cost us time, but we are talking about money. Yeah. So we are talking about finance. It's one of the most contentious issues when it comes to marriage. But before that, please share, please comment, put the fire emojis, put the hands up emojis when a point drops and it hits your heart. So invite a friend. If you're on YouTube, just share the link with your friends, with your neighbors, everybody that you have influence over, and invite them in. I'm going to tell you this is going to be a great and an amazing time together. And we're in season 3, and the great couples are here to bless us with the wealth of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that God has granted them. And today, right next to me, we have the Mashurias. Mm-hmm. Yeah, please say hi. Mm-hmm. Please say hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, and next we have Mr. and Mrs. James Wairia.
Hi, everyone. We're so honored to be back here again. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Evening, everyone. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome, guys. And finally, we have the P and the P's. Please.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you have chosen to join us today. God bless you as you spend time together. It is my prayer that you will glean something from what we discussed today.
Mm.
Amen. Thank you so much once again. It's good just to come your way and just to be blessed together. Otherwise, God bless.
Glory. Now, today we are on money matters. You know, this section could go actually on TV for the business section because it is a very, 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 very important and crucial topic. They say apart from infidelity, one of the other areas that couples argue a lot, disagree a lot, is in the area of finance. And today we want to ensure that, you know, at least we lay bare. And one of I think the first question I would ask, a question that is asked by most people, whose money is it? First, Ma'am Polly.
Let me start before Preacher Man.
Yeah.
Whose money is it? It's not his money. It's not her money. It's our money. They shouldn't be his money, her money, our money. But unfortunately, many couples learn that the hard way. Basically because I could say that we don't have money lessons from the time when we are young. We are not taught on how to manage money. We are not taught on how to manage family money. You know, we don't teach our children the cost of things and what involves getting an income or how to go about handling a budget and things like that. So I think, let me sincerely say that by the grace of God, God has helped us. But we did not have any formal learning. I don't think I ever sat down with my dad or my mom to discuss money or budgeting. Did you? I don't think so. So we've learned, we've taught each other, and we have come to the point of understanding. But one thing I want to sincerely say, which I know is not the same from everybody, and I'm not sitting here telling people that I've done it better than you, but one thing is that from the word go, since we got born again, which was very early in our marriage, we committed everything to God, and so there is no his money or her money, it's our money. And I just want to start by saying that money can be a very good slave, but not a good master. So I'm going to leave it there and hand it over to you.
I think I would not like to start by what we do with money or whose money is it. I would like to understand what is money and what is its purpose. Because if we misunderstand that, then the whole thing about money will take a down south side. So what is money? What is its purpose? If we get that, then you'll find what is its purpose? It's helping us to live a better life. What it is, I don't know what money it's to people. But when you know its purpose, then you can put it in the right place. Then I would like also to ask myself, what is the priority of money in my relationship? Is it coming second after relationship? Where does it come in? Because I think sometimes we overestimate what money can do, and we underestimate other things. I don't think in the family setting that money that money has what do you call it? I don't think in a family setting. I think money has been overestimated, and that's why you find a lot of quarrels, a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger, a lot of all those kind of things, because we have things which are more valuable than money. But when we overestimate money, then we don't have other value like relationship, and then all that mixture by itself, it will bring a lot of quarrels.
I like that. I think that's a question that most people do not ask themselves. Like, what is the position of money in this relationship? Because there's the need for the man to provide, for the lady to provide. But in that context, people actually focus more on what they are gaining and they don't give it a position. So if it does not have a position, then it means it can take any position. Pastor says everybody's work is nobody's work. So it means no position is every position. So it can take the first, the last, or wherever. So whose money is it, and how do you now begin to integrate money into marriage?
Whose money is it? Good question. So in the role of the family, and historically and where we are now, okay, the man is the head, he is the hunter, we are the gatherers. So back in society in the old days, the man went out to work, the woman stayed home with the children, looked after and did the roles in the home. But of course, everything has now changed. I think what I would urge women to think of is, as a woman, you are the helpmate. So I believe it's our money, regardless of who is earning what or who is bringing in what. You've got to look at it as our money. And the mistake that families or couples married couples can make is when, if you think of it as your money or I think of it as my money, then you cannot have a common goal. You cannot have common goals. You cannot achieve much, because you're not even walking in the same direction. So that's to answer that question.
I don't think there's much to add on that, to be honest. But it's just as my wife has said. It's our money at the end of the day, because both of you have to be on the same page to achieve a goal. Because the foundation you're laying from day one, it gets to affect the future generation of your children, your children's children. Because you got to lay a foundation, you got to teach your children, you got to, as you're parenting in that process as well, they have to learn, your children have to learn. So you want to lay a good foundation. That's why even from the onset, it has to be, if we are doing something, I don't want to do it in secret. We have to do it together. We have to sit down, we have to discuss. We don't hide each other, She knows how much I had. I'll be honest, I don't even do most of the budgeting. She does it because she's better. You got to use the person who's stronger. In our relationship, she's better because she deals with finance most of the that's in her area of work. So she's good at that. But when we sit down, it's not even how she's budgeted; it's us doing it together. So when you split and it's yours and mine, that's not a road you want to follow, because immediately it just shows you're not together. It just shows you're not together. You're not coming together to achieve a common goal.
I grew up knowing that all the money belongs to our Father. That is how I knew it. I wasn't brought up with clarification of. I never knew my dad's worth, and it's until now. Even now, I don't know anyway. So, and I remember there's a way that my dad used to give my mother money. And every time my mother wanted something, my dad could remove his wallet and turn the other way and count and then pluck out some money and give it to my mom. And that is how I knew that money was supposed to be handled. And there was no one time that my dad told me I have this much. My dad is a good man, but he will never tell you how much he has, even now. He tells you, he is always telling you, I don't have money. So you will never be able to ask more than he will ever give you. Because he will always tell you, we don't, here you should know we don't have money. So that is how we were brought up. And I knew that all the money in the house belonged to my dad. And when we got married several years ago, that is one of the things I really wanted to change, that narrative of putting a demarcation between my money and her money. So in our family, for all the years that we've been married, we don't have a line in between. Everything that we have belongs to us. And by the way, like James has said, it's true. Naomi is the one who plans. I'm not a very good planner. I'm a man of faith. I decree things, I declare. Yeah, I speak things, that are not as though they are. Yeah. But Naomi will tell me, yes, you've said this. How are we going to get there? You see? And she's the one who plans. She's the one who is always on the laptop and trying to do, this is what we've spent. This is what we have. This is how much we've spent. This is how much we need to clear if there's a debt that needs to be cleared. And this is what we need to save. You see? And all those stages are very important. So, to me, I don't know, I always say I plan up to lunchtime. But I declare the future, I declare. But my wife brings those things so close to us and lays them on the table and says, okay, we have to, man of faith, this is a reality. This is a reality. Many times she reminds me of a statement my late pastor used to say, you're a man of faith, which is fine. Now, place that faith on the table. We want to eat it. There's a time of faith, and as the book of James says, that if faith doesn't bring forth fruit, if it doesn't have actions, then it's dead. And that is the power of a woman, And every single lady you're seeing here, they got that power. So that is our problem. Most men don't have, but they do. Yeah, so I don't know if Naomi has something to say about our finances.
I will just echo what my husband has just said. I think I learned this principle when I was very young, because I used to stay with my brother-in-law every time I mention this man of God. He has made me who I am today, and I salute him. I used to see them. My sister, she was not working. Her income was just little. But every time at the end of the month, they put everything on the table. They organize, this month we'll do this. We will buy this for this child. We will do this and this. So I knew from the very beginning that money is good, but it can really bring some problems in marriages. Most of the marriages which are not working, most of them is money matters. So we need to take really precautions when we are handling money. And I think it's very vital to handle this issue when the marriage is still very young. Some people, they do it even in the courtship. They discuss about money, they discuss about everything. So when they are getting to marriage, they know this is our values, this is what we will be doing with our money. So you are not too late if you have not started. You can start this journey at any juncture. It's never too late. Yeah. So you can just start slowly by slowly, compromise. One person has to compromise and for the sake of marriage. Yeah, for really, yeah.
Wow. Someone was making a joke and they were saying, I think for most ladies, they were saying sometimes the only time they access the man's pocket is during the wedding day when they're putting the certificate.
But you see, that's a very African thing, isn't it?
That's a very African thing. Let me probably begin to engage us on budgeting, because I think because we've gotten to understand that now there is no boundary when it comes to money. We've known that the money should not have the first position. It should not be our drive. It should be something that, helps us to go along the way, because the Bible says that money is the answer of everything. It is the answer to everything. But it is not what drives us. So we've understood that it should not be the first position. It should not be our drive. Our heart should not be in the money. So having drawn those two lines, I think now the next thing that comes into mind is budgeting. And if you go out there in the business world, they will give you different principles, 70, 30, 30, 60, 20, 40, 20, 20 or something, 60, 20, 10, 10 or something. Yeah, so let me begin with Susie, because she is in finance, as I've just picked up from the conversation. And just elaborate to us how you do it.
Okay, so budgeting is, it's so important. We don't have a percentage rule. We tried that. We tried the Joseph Principle. I think every family needs to work on what works for them. It also depends on how many incomes you have. Because for us, for example, we've been married 9 years, and in those 9 years, a couple of the years I have been out of work because I've been having children. So our budget has been like that. But also, I'd like to start by saying, in the early years of our marriage, if we can be very honest, we didn't agree financially, and we were going around in circles when it came to money. We were not achieving goals. We were not agreeing. We were fighting a lot about money. I mean, something that is supposed to serve us is the one that was causing problems in our marriage. But thank God that somewhere along the lines, we were able to come together and agree, because we are very different people. And this is the thing with most marriages. You have one who is a spender, one who is a saver, one who is a giver, one who is a bit more of a planner. I don't know how to put it. But you need both. You need both of you are a perfect as one. But if one person takes control, then it's not helping that marriage. Even if one person maybe is better at money, you have to have that balance of both of you in that money budget. So for us in our budget, we were able to come together and say, we need to first start by paying off any debts we have, because this whole thing of paying into interests we could use that money for something else. So that's where we started off, paid off all the debts. And then we started saying, now, let's have an emergency fund. So for example, in the year 2020, a lot of people have lost their incomes. So maybe people out there can understand that you need an emergency fund, so that if one person or two people are out of work, then your family will not suffer. You're still going to eat, you're still going to pay off all your bills. So my emergency fund may be 3 or 6 months of emergency fund. And then after that, we have other goals. So what we do is we have annual goals, monthly goals. Okay, we have even long-term goals, but we have the yearly, the monthly, and then within the month, whatever we budget for food, for example, we do a weekly. So we'll just divide that by 4 and say, this is what we're potentially looking at. We're not so strict. It's just something to guide us. We can go in and see, okay, this is what we are allowing ourselves to spend. So divide things like wants and needs. The wants are the needs. Which is it? The want or needs? The food Food, shelter, and clothing.
Food, shelter, and clothing,
Is
which are your main ones.
They are the needs.
You know, they are the needs. They got to be number one.
And
anyway.
transport in some areas.
Yeah.
Then everything else can come in as a want. I'm struggling with those two. Sorry.
Let me jump in here as well, because with us, the one thing I have to admit as well, with our journey, because it was a bit tough, as Susan has said, as my wife has said, when we started, we really, with finance, we are two different people, you know, so we clashed heads a lot. But thank God for this church, our church, and for small groups, because there was a small group, when we initiated the first small groups, I think we did the K Club one. And I remember I used to attend that a lot. And Pastor, I remember, because you guys go for training in America. I think you went to America and you came back with a book and you said, I recommend this book for your small group, which is by Dave Ramsey. Now, in the group, we would read it, actually, because most of the principles we've applied, we got it, that's what we follow. But in the group, I would read the book with the rest of the guys who were with, but you know, for me, I think it's just a small group. Okay, we are having fun. I'm getting an idea about it. But because when I go home, I talk to my wife, I took the book and I said, by the way, this is what we are doing in our small group. And she read it. Now, what she saw and what I was seeing was two different things. Her, she's like, okay, this is a solution. You know, straight away, it was like, this is what we're going to do, because this will work for us. And as she's saying, the first thing we do, budgeting. Sit down, because actually budgeting, especially when you really have to make sure you want to get out of the situation you are at, sit down and go like, okay, now, what do we have on this hand? How much are we making? We are making XYZ. On this other hand, you say, okay, let's list everything which is going out. And everything which is going out does not matter what it is. It can be as small or it can be even 20p, you know, it's still an expense. So list down everything. And then you sit down with your partner and you tackle it and you go, what now is going to be priority? Because the thing is, there's a joke out there which goes like, if you want people to know you are alive, try and miss a payment. The phone calls which come, they start calling you because they are wondering, hey, where's our payment? You know, maybe even on your account, the direct debit you put, there's no money. So that's when you start. So basically, and those things are a bit of a nuisance in life because you're not feeling secure every time you're living on edge, thinking, okay, who's going to call me next? Who's going to call me next? But when you list down and you say, okay, number one, we owe this much, this is how much we are making, then you start tackling it. And like I think the first principle we used to do is the debt snowball, which is, start from the smallest, go to the biggest, go to the largest. So if
attack the smallest debt.
Attack the smallest debt, then whatever
with a vengeance.
Yeah, and when you finish the first one, take on to the next one with exactly what you are doing in the first one. So still pretend you're still paying off the first one, but then still attack the second one and start going with it. So, we used our principle, and within, I think, 9 months,
we came out of debt so quickly, but we've been in debt for years.
Yeah.
But we came out of debt within about 9 months.
Let me tell you, the relief in your head, in your mind, even when you sleep, there's a difference. I'm being very honest. Because you are waking up in the morning and you're not thinking to yourself, who's going to knock on my door? Because you know exactly what you've done with your money. But the number one thing which we make sure we've always agreed on, we go to tithe. With us, we go to tithe. Because, it says in the book, in the Bible, God, that's how you rebuke the devourer on behalf. So, if you do not tithe, I can guarantee you, if you cannot tithe your 10%, that 90%, it will still not work for you.
Yeah.
It won't.
That's true.
Because it's also a mindset.
Yeah.
It's something you got to switch. It's a mindset to know, like, I can let go and trust God on this. And then, my money, that He's going to protect the rest. And that 90%, you're able to sit down and plan for it, which is now the budget. And you got to make sure you include everything. How much are we eating? So you start looking at, are we going out too much?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those kind of things. I remember, like, with us, we used to go, there's a time, before we even had our first child, you come home, you're tired, you don't want to cook, let's get takeaway. But when you start listing and you see how much you're putting for takeaway, you're thinking, hang on, why can't this be going to this debt?
Yeah.
And it's all, the easiest thing was go to the shops, buy some grocery, come home, cook fresh food. We've always done that since then. It's very rare for us to have takeaway. But it's not because we can't, it's because you have to start prioritizing. Because what God has given you is important, He knows what He's given you. There's people out there who you will spend and you're like, oh, I don't have money. But then when you say someone, show me what you've been doing with your money, well, I've been going out clothing shopping, buying shoes, buying this. But you're telling someone, I'm broke. My friend, budget.
Yeah.
Prioritize everything first, especially food, shelter, clothing should be among the top ones no matter what. Then the rest will follow.
JS, I'm passionate about finances because as pastors we can sit here and say, we sit with very many couples and one of the biggest, thorniest issues in marriages is finances. You will not believe how many marriages are in crisis because of finances. And that's why last time when we were talking on parenting, I was very intentional on saying, please let's have these conversations with our children. Don't let them learn the hard way. So for me, budgeting. Now, in our house, like they said, money takes the shape of the personality of the individual. My husband is a spender. And now, being a spender, he's also a big, big giver. Spenders are givers because they just, they give. On the other hand, I'm a planner. I like budgeting. I like knowing. Pastor will preach and stand here and say, Mama Kamau knows to the last cent. And I do. I said there's no demarcation. There's no his money, my money. He has access to my account. Funny enough, we'll be very honest, we've never had a joint account, I think apart from the mortgage and one other. But I know his PIN number. He knows my PIN number. His mobile banking, my mobile banking. We are free. Even our kids know our card numbers. One time we were on holiday in Spain, and then Pastor is looking and saying, who is buying food, burgers from Good Burgers, 40 pounds? The boys were busy using their dad's card in London. So he had to say, stop it right now. So they stopped it. So budgeting. What is budgeting? For me, budgeting is telling your finances what to do. Now, there's a principle that Dave Ramsey teaches and says, budgeting is giving your money an assignment. You give that pound, you give that shilling, you give that dollar, you give that rupee an assignment. If you don't give money an assignment, it will not work for you. Yeah? And that is why we need to be very honest. Like Naomi said, people need to start doing finances in their marriages even before you get married. You need to talk about money. How much are you earning? How much am I earning? Are you intimidated because I'm a woman and I'm earning more than you? Yeah? Is there your money? Is there my money? If we were to lose a job, how would we manage? If I was to go on maternity leave and have to be out of work, how will we manage? So it is important that people have these honest, upfront conversations, The other thing is agree. Like now, him being, like James is saying, a man of faith. No, Naomi says, I'm not eating faith. I remember there was a pastor who was saying that he used to tell the wife, the Bible says, the scripture says, the wife says, I'm not eating scripture. Put food on the table. Yeah. And and she's not being rude. As in man of God, man of faith, my brother, you're a Christian. You can't marry a girl and tell her we live by faith. No. Ladies need security. Yeah. Most people need security, So you need to have this conversation. So in terms of budgeting, it is better, you better know what your income is. What debts do you have? What are your future plans? Are you investing in something? What kind of education do you want your children to have? What kind of a house do you want to have? Are you going to go into a 5-bedroom house to keep up with the Joneses? Or you can be in a 2-bedroom house and be very, very happy. There are some people who earn K, or some families here in the UK who can have a joint income of 80K, 90K, 100K, and other families have a joint income of 20K, 25K, but the ones with the 25K have better quality of life than the ones with the 100K. Why? It's because the ones with the 25K give their money an assignment, they handle it using biblical principles, they are in agreement. Money has not brought an issue. They work together as a couple. And so for me, if you're in marriage, finances in marriage, number one, you have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
It cannot be his money, my money. Yeah. It cannot be I will control you, because if you're going to control me because of money, then we are not together. You are in control. You are having dominance. And now that is what brings crisis. So budgeting is very, very important. I budget. I'm like, I'm the one who budgets. You see, he's laughing because he knows I budget. And then you see also the way we were brought up is also very different. Pastor had a lot of luck in his early childhood. So Pastor believes in, if you want it, have it. The kids want it, let them have it. I'll give it to them, But then again, the other thing is, because I'm a planner, I'm not a fun person, So I don't surprise me. I want us to be planned. I want to know, where are we going? How are we going? How are we connecting? So the personality helps. That other side of Pastor has also helped me to relax, to understand, like people say nowadays, you only live once, So it's good. Different stages, when our children were little, finances were different because the needs were very high. Right now we have adults who are earning from themselves, so finances are different, seasons of life. But please be on the same page. Yeah. Have honest, open conversation from the time when you are dating.
Yeah.
Don't let it be clouded. We are in love. In love what? In love what? After you go into that house, what next? Yeah? I know of a pastor who actually stopped a wedding from happening for 2 years because in the process of counseling, he came to realize the young man who was to be the groom and the future husband was in serious debt. And he said, no, hang on, young man. Before you take a wife, handle this debt. Are you ready to work on it on a 2-year plan? They put an action plan and they worked on it in 2 years, and he got out of debt, and then the wedding happened, and now they moved on. Because on the same scene, the same pastor had a young lady who was in university, got married to a guy who was in serious debt. She had to drop out of uni to start working so that they could start working on the debt together. And she's never been able to go back to uni. So we need to have these conversations. Yeah, and to understand what money is. Money is a terrible master, but a very good slave. The Bible says money answereth all. Yes, but you also give that money an assignment what to answer. Yeah.
Wow.
I like, let me just comment on one thing. Okay. And as my wife has said, we don't have a joint account. But one thing we have...
That's okay, because it works for us.
It works for us, but what it is that we have budgeted all the money, whether it's my money and her money. We tell this is what you get this income, this is according to you, this is how you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it. And we cover everything, we budget. But let me say this also, is one of the things when I come to budgeting, it's very, very, very important, because if you don't write it down, you'll never know where your money goes. And when you know where your money goes, that's only when you can be able to do a correction, you alter or tweak what your money needs to do. And I'll tell you this because most of the time why you see even people probably never advance, because once you know where your money is going, then you can see, is it a priority? Is this a priority? Is there anything probably we need more? But because we have never listed it down, we don't even know. Like when it's budgeting, and I believe like one of the greatest things that a person can ever have, especially whether you're in Africa or here, is to get a house. But if you keep on spending and spending and spending without realizing where your money is going, you'll never be able even to budget for some common and a necessity of life, just like a house. You get what I'm saying? So, and not only a house, but many other things. So what you are saying, also critique and say, what can I do without this? Probably because of a future engagement or a future need we don't foresee right now. It's not an immediate need, but in the long run, it is a need we need to start addressing ourselves. And that's why my wife is saying, giving your money a mission. One of the challenges, especially where you find that even when we have money, our condition never change, because your appetite also increases as you get more money. And that's why you find just because you have a pay rise, your condition doesn't change. And that is what we really need to know. We really need to know is that as I am increasing, and God have blessed me in a certain way, but also what can I be able to do? And if we don't budget, if we don't tell where our money goes, we wonder where our money went. And there is nothing as bad as living in the memory of yesterday with the consequences of what you'll be able to face in the future. Let me say also this, I'll not stay for long. I totally believe, and many people talk about money as one of the issues that bring a lot of crisis and conflict in homes. But I also believe that money exposes other weaknesses in marriage. Because there are many people who don't have money and they have a good life. So when you find a conflict, probably it's exposing some other things, insecurity, some other things. I don't want to go into details, but don't take it blank that we are just conflicted because of money issue. There could be other issues that the money is exposing that we need to be addressed.
Wow. I don't know why half an hour feels like 10 minutes. Is it? Half an hour, because I believe we still have so much ground to cover. But don't worry. Next week, we will be here covering the same topic. One of the things we have to learn is that money, when you budget, you give your money an assignment. When you budget, you give your money an assignment. Don't let the money run you. Run the money. Run your world. Thank you. We'll see you next week.